The audience for the book, in most cases, they don't like those changes, even if the changes are good, because they're like little children that have gotten used to their bologna sandwich for lunch every day, and then their mother gives them a roast beef sandwich, and they say, "What's this stuff? This stuff stinks. I want bologna." And you say, "Hey, kid."
Welcome to the world of the horror anthology, where you have nothing to lose but your mind. Horror anthologies knit together several short stories, providing thrill after terrifying thrill. The quick tempo and rapid-fire delivery have made them perennial favorites for decades on end. Each short story is carefully written to quickly involve the viewer, only to let the blade drop for a sudden ending. This 1972 chiller, the original Tales of the Crypt anthology, is based on 5 stories from the notorious EC horror comics of the 1950s.
I think that I was so badly frightened as a child that I decided you can't lick 'em, join 'em.
Each maddening segment delivers a heart-stopping shock line.
You were mean and cruel right from the start. Now you really have no.
Only one more wish. Only one.
In this sequence of events, we learn that perhaps you should not wish for all you desire to come true, because it just might happen.
Please. I wish Ralph were alive now. I don't want him to die ever. I want him moving, breathing, talking, alive. Now, forever.
What happened? What have you done?
I wished him alive again, forever.
But don't you realize he's been embalmed? His veins are filled with embalming fluid burning into him.
Oh,
I need to do something. For God's sake, help! No, really don't.
The horror anthology depends on delivering the punchline at just the right time, again and again and again. Robert Bloch, author of Psycho, adapts 4 of his own stories for the Asylum anthology. Each of the stories are told by mental patients who explain what it is that drove them over the brink of sanity. After all, the loss of sanity is horror's greatest gift.
It's a wonderful way of dealing with one's fears, and it's a catharsis. I think the fact that an audience is safe, the audience can always get up and leave the theater, or turn to another dial on the radio, or close the book.
In a 1971 film, 4 more Robert Bloch stories recount the horrors occurring to those who dared to spend the night in the house that dripped blood.
It's stuffy in here. Let's go.
She's beautiful. She's almost alive. She's lovely.
Goodbye, Philip. Thanks for being such a marvelous host.
Not at all. It was my pleasure. I'm only sorry you can't stay.
No, I'd better fly back. I'm late now. Sure I can't give you a lift into town?
No, thanks. I'm not going in today.
I'll be off then. Bye. Cheerio.
Take care of yourself. Thanks for everything. Ciao.
Hello?
Hello, Philip. This is Neville.
Well, hello, Neville. Anything wrong?
I'm still at the village. I'm staying at the hotel.
The Queen's Head?
I know it sounds absurd, Philip, but I can't leave here. I've got to go back to that place.
Don't go there. You stay where you are. I'll be right over. Neville? Others came and admired her, like your friend and you. But you shall never have her, none of you. She is beautiful, isn't she? My Salome.
And this
And every time you see things in the process of filmmaking that you wish that you had done, and you say to yourself, I wish that I'd had that idea. When that happens, I always feel stupid, you know, because I say, but that's so simple. Why didn't I think of that?
director Frank Darabont took a Stephen King short story and adapted it to film with some additions of his own. It turned out to be a King favorite. Then we will look at the film imagery that brings to life Clive Barker's tale, The Hellbound Heart.
What seems like autobiography is just the writer's attempt to understand what an experience meant. You know, when I said earlier that I had written The Shining to try and understand these aggressive impulses that Father Knows Best had never prepared me for, the same thing is true about the death of my mother. You know, to write that story was an effort to understand what that meant. And you just happen to make a story out of it.
John is a bright young attorney destined to commit the perfect murder. He is about to learn from a convicted criminal that the murder will be perfect in every way, for it's the secret desire of the woman in the room.
Want me to leave the cups on him?
Turn him loose.
All right.
Counselor, good of you to come.
Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. I ain't going nowhere.
Care to join me? My mother. She's dying.
Of what?
Cancer.
Oh, what are they doing for her?
Well, not a hell of a lot, you ask me. They gave her a cordotomy yesterday.
Cordotomy? Yeah, I know about those. It's supposed to take away the pain.
How'd you know that?
Yeah, a buddy of mine got both his legs blown by a booby trap. The problem was, he was lying in a puddle of mud for about an hour before we could get to him. So by the time I pulled him into a chopper, why, he had maggots crawling under his skin. Gangrene started killing him, slowly. And the pain was just too much, so they gave him a cordotomy. Stuck a needle in his brain and just short-circuited his pain. Short-circuited just about everything else with it.
That's what they did to my mother.
Too bad.
She can't walk anymore. She says she still has pain.
Never go through that again. Not worth it.
What happened?
Killed a friend of mine.
I don't understand.
It was that buddy of mine I told you about. Oh, I got his legs blown away.
You killed him?
Yeah. He was my buddy. And I wasn't about to let him die of gangrene like that. After what the doctors did to him. Lying there, gaping his mouth open and shut like some kind of fish they dragged out of the water. Hell, he saved my life once. I owed him.
Jesus.
What's the matter, counselor? You don't look so good.
You're good to come as often as you do, Johnny. You're a good son.
I brought you some pills from home.
Did you?
They're good for pain.
Are they? Can I chew them?
You could try one.
All right. Don't let them see.
Here you go. Does it taste bad? I won't.
No, not too bad.
Do you want another one?
Yes. Please.
My mother did die of cancer, and she died very painfully, and it was a very long, drawn-out death, the sort of death that only modern medicine can provide. You know, with enough cures and enough keep them on their feet to, you know, be the equivalent of the rack and the boot. It's the modern-day Inquisition is an attended death after you know, all the obituary says is a long illness, but that doesn't say anything about, you know, the limbo of suffering that goes on during that illness under certain circumstances. But that's what I say when I mean it's not fair to trust anything that a writer says about himself, because that story ends with this guy pouring pills down his mother's throat to kill her, which is something that I never did. I wish, in retrospect, in some ways, that I had done that, because I think it would have spared her a lot of suffering.
Help me, doctor. Help my daughter. Can you help her?
Hellbound Heart examines the complex emotions of a man who solves the secret of a demonic Rubik's Cube. The Chinese puzzle box represents a method for opening the door to hell. The work of special effects artist Bob Keane and Geoffrey Portaz are integral to the look of the films. Their Cenobite makeup leaves very little to the imagination. They have taken Barker's written word and created walking, breathing images of pain. Clive Barker reads from his short novel, The Hellbound Heart.
It struck Frank that he had never once wondered what they would look like. Why then was he so distressed to set eyes upon them? Was it the scars that covered every inch of their bodies, the flesh cosmetically punctured and sliced and infibulated, then dusted down with ash? Was it the smell of vanilla they brought with them, the sweetness of which did little to disguise the stench beneath? Or was it that as the light grew and he scanned them more closely, he saw nothing of joy or even humanity in their maimed faces, only desperation?